Good morning, Year 6, or should I say my fellow journalists today. Mrs. Green here with your next instalment of writing a newspaper report. Right, but before we do that, as always, let's do our daily shout out. So today I'm giving a writing shout out to Ava for her exciting vocabulary and also her accurate use of speech punctuation. And I'm also giving it to Billy, again, for his very ambitious vocab choices. You can see words like soulless and swift and pout. Well done, you two. I am rewarding you 2 dojos each for creativity today. Right. Well, yesterday, if you cast your minds back, we looked at the features of newspaper reports. And one of those features was past tense verbs, as we learned that newspaper reports are actually recounts. I found a game you might like to have a go at. So as you can see, just type into Google past tense verbs interactive activity and look for the website gamestolearnenglish.com/past tense game. Okay, right, on to your starter today. Well, today we are going to be revising a previous SPAG objective, word classes, and some of you Year 6s might recall doing this activity before Christmas. So choose a word for each word class, and when put together and read in order, it will create a sentence that makes complete sense on its own. So pause the video now and have a go, and let's see what sentences you can come up with. Okay, and to check. So these are the sentences that I came up with. Top businessman kindly donates to struggling schools. Billionaire sale generously gives away revolutionary computers. Charismatic Prime Minister obligingly agrees on televised ceremony. And I just want to draw your attention to the word businessman. Now, businessman has been used as a noun, but it could be used as an adjective. We could flip it around and we could have said businessman sale, which would therefore mean that businessman is describing the noun. Another word I want to draw your attention to is televised. Some of you might not have noticed, some of you might not have realised it was an adjective, but of course the televised is describing the ceremony. So well done for having a go. Right, today we are going to be selecting appropriate content to plan for a newspaper report. And in order to do that, and this is part of our bigger picture, we're going to have to consider the 5 W's, basically who, why, what, when, where, and how as well. Okay, in order to write an informative newspaper report, we need to make sure that we can answer all those questions. Okay, our key vocabulary today will allow us to think about the information that is needed in the lead and the main body. Now, to make it a bit more fun, I'm going to put on a short video now for you to watch. It explains the 5 W's in more detail.
I have some friends to help me. Here's where it's gonna go. Let's keep on looking. That's how we build the story with you. When after got you and you're mystified. Holy night, the Friday night. They gather all the information from the latest investigation, working out with the woman they're alive by your side. Who's there with the scene? What does everything mean? Let's bring the facts together. When did this all occur? Where's the place that they were? Why did the whole thing happen? When, where, why? We'll have to guide you when you're mystified. Oh, night for Friday night. They gather all the information from the latest investigation, working out with you what and where, why, by your side. A little resistance you might ask how. Build up the details. Having everything takes takes me away each and every morning. Sunshine in bed, I know it won't be love. It's always without warning. Who was when, where, why? When I forget you and you're mystified. Oh, life, oh, Friday night. They gather all the information, all the links, investigation, work it out with the woman where I by your side.
Okay, I hope you like that. I always think that everything is better to music. Okay, so today, as you know, in order to plan, we have to consider the 5 W's and the H. What, when, where, who, how, and why. Now, yesterday we looked at a Year 6 newspaper report example based on the Ian Ryder car crash. Can you remember? Okay, now I'm going to model thinking about answering the important questions. So, what happened? Well, we know that Ian Ryder was killed in a car crash. When did it happen? In the report it said it happened yesterday evening. Of course, in the main body it could have given a more specific date and time. Where did it happen? It said Old Street Roundabout. Again, it could have been more specific. It could have named the town. Who was involved? Well, of course, Ian Ryder was involved because he was the victim. He was killed. The police were there at the scene of the crime, and Alex Ryder, Michael Johnson, and Jack Starbright were the people who were interviewed. So they gave their opinions and viewpoints as well. How did it happen? Well, he was killed because the car overturned and because he wasn't wearing his seatbelt. Why did it happen? Unfortunately, a lorry collided into Ian Ryder's car. Right, your next task is to look carefully at these news story extracts and decide on the who, when, what, where, and why. So your first story is about Rolls-Royce man lucky not to face more serious charges. Your second story is the cheeky girls visit discount store. And the third story is major revamp for historic structure. So pause the video now and have a go at answering the 5 W's. Okay, well done for having a go. Let's see how we got on. So of course, the first story, the Rolls-Royce story. Who was involved? A man from Andover. When did it happen? The 25th of September 2009. What happened? He was jailed for 16 months. Why was he jailed for 16 months? Because he drove into a supermarket. Crazy. And where did it happen? In Andover. The second story, major revamp for historic structure. Who was involved? The civic bosses. Happened on the 16th of September. What happened? They agreed to renovate. Where did it happen? The Guildhall. And why did it happen? Because they all agreed they needed to bring in line with other venues in the district, okay? And the last story about the cheeky girls, you might have heard of them a few years back. It involved the cheeky girls, didn't give a date. What happened? They visited a discount store, and you can imagine what happens if famous people visit somewhere. Where did it happen? Newmarket. And why did they do this? To promote their new range of cosmetics makeup. Right, well done if you managed to get that. Okay, now yesterday we had a look at a waggle. Set sail to school. So an example of the newspaper report that we are writing this week. Now just to refresh our memories, I'm going to read through the story again. And while I'm reading, I want you to think very carefully about the questions on the right. Can you answer them? What, where, who, when, why, and how? Okay. Late last night, business magnate and philanthropist publicised his aim of gifting tens of thousands of his new, innovative computer alongside a televised activation ceremony. On the 25th of February, Herod Sale, who is owner of Sale Enterprises, a radio channel and racehorses, announced his plan to deliver, completely free of charge, every secondary school nationwide a Stormbreaker computer, evidently as a gesture of thanks to the country. Sale, who was born into complete poverty in the back streets of Beirut with 9 brothers and 4 sisters, should have ended up unemployed, unable to read and write like the rest of his family. However, due to sheer chance, Sale's luck changed when he was only 7. It is reported that he saved an extremely wealthy American couple from being killed by a piano falling from a 14th-story window. According to sources, Beth and John Lowe were of course eternally grateful and said that they couldn't believe Sale's poor existence. As a result, out of gratitude, they had him educated in England, where he made astonishing progress, going on to attend Cambridge, where he met the Prime Minister. Since Sale's schooling, he has built a large, successful empire and is well known for his contribution to Microsoft software. When interviewed, Sale said, "I am in a good position to give something back and express my true feelings for this country." It is believed that the grand unveiling will be April the 1st at 10 a.m. sharp at the Science Museum. This is an incredibly kind deed that Sale is doing, certainly requiring he receive British citizenship, Tony Blair stated outside number 10. A spokesman for Sale Enterprises has said that the computers are currently being assembled at a plant in Port Talon and that everything is on track. Right, let's have a go then, guys. What is happening? Well, of course, we know. Big news. Sale is giving away computers for free to secondary schools, and there's going to be a big activation ceremony on television. Okay, where's this all happening? It's all happening in London. The activation ceremony is actually happening at the Science Museum. Who is involved? Herod Sale is involved in this story, and the Prime Minister, as he's going to be activating by pressing the button. When? Okay, well, he announced it on the 25th of Feb, but the actual day to activate the Stormbreakers in every school is going to be April the 1st. Why? Sale wants to thank the country, apparently. How is he able to do this? Well, because he's such a successful, wealthy businessman and he owns his own computer company, it's not so hard for him to do it. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to read a couple of pages from Stormbreaker, just to refresh your memories again. There might be some extra information in here that you might want to use for your own newspaper report. So you might want to use it today to add to your planning. Alex thought for a moment. I've seen his name in the newspapers. He's something to do with computers and he owns racehorses. Doesn't he come from somewhere in Egypt? No, from Lebanon. Blunt took a sip of wine. Let me tell you his story, Alex. I'm sure you'll find it of interest. Herod Sale was born in complete poverty in the back streets of Beirut. His father was a failed hairdresser. His mother took in washing. He had 9 brothers and 4 sisters, all living together in 3 small rooms along with the family goat. Young Harold never went to school, and he should have ended up unemployed, unable to read or write like the rest of his family. But when he was 7, something occurred that changed his life. He was walking down Olive Street in the middle of Beirut when he happened to see an upright piano fall out of a 14th-story window. Apparently it was being moved and it somehow overturned. Anyway, there were a couple of American tourists walking along the pavement below and they would both have been crushed, no doubt about it, except that at that last minute Harold threw himself at them and pushed them out of the way. The piano missed them by a millimetre. Of course, they were enormously grateful to the young waif, and it now turned out that they were very rich. They made inquiries about him and discovered how poor he was. The very clothes he was wearing had passed down by all of his 9 brothers, and so out of gratitude they more or less adopted him, flew him out of Beirut and put him into a school over here, where he made astonishing progress. He got 9 O-levels, and here's the amazing coincidence, at the age of 15 he actually found himself sitting next to a boy who would grow up to become Prime Minister of Great Britain, our present Prime Minister in fact. The 2 of them were at school together. I'll move quickly forward. After school, Sale went to Cambridge, where he got a first in economics. He then set out on a career that went from success to success. His own radio station, record label, computer software, and yes, he even found time to buy a string of racehorses, although for some reason they always seemed to come last. But what drew him to our attention was his most recent invention, a quite revolutionary computer, which he calls the Stormbreaker. Alex remembered the file he had found in Ian Ryder's office. Things were beginning to come together. The Stormbreaker is being manufactured by Sale Enterprises, Mrs. Jones said. There's been a lot of talk about the design. It has a black keyboard and black casing, with a lightning bolt going down the side, Alex said. He'd seen a picture of it in PC Review. It doesn't only look different, Blunkett, it's based on a completely new technology. It uses something called the round processor. I don't suppose that'll mean anything to you. It's an integrated circuit on a sphere of silicon about 1 millimetre in diameter, Alex said. It's 99% cheaper to produce than an ordinary chip because the whole thing is sealed in, so you don't need clean rooms for production. Oh, yes, okay, Blunt. Well, the point is, later today, Cell Enterprises are going to make a quite remarkable announcement. They are planning to give away tens of thousands of these computers. In fact, it is their intention to ensure that every secondary school in Britain gets its own Stormbreaker. It's an unparalleled act of generosity, Sale's way of thanking the country that gave him a home. So the man's a hero, so it would seem. He wrote to Downing Street a few months ago. My dear Prime Minister, you remember me from our school days together. For almost 40 years I have lived in England, and I wish to make a gesture, something that will never be forgotten, to express my true feelings towards your country. The letter went on to describe the gift and was signed yours humbly by the man himself. Of course, the whole government was a cock-a-hoop. The computers are being assembled at the Cell plant in Port Talon, Cornwall. They'll be shipped across the country at the end of this month, and on April the 1st there's to be a special ceremony at the Science Museum in London. The Prime Minister is going to press the button that will bring all the computers online, the whole lot of them. And this is top secret, by the way. Mr. Sale is to be rewarded with British citizenship, which is apparently something he has always wanted. Well, I'm happy for him, Alex said. But you still haven't told me what this has got to do with me. Okay, guys, so on to your chili challenges for today. So you need to plan in note form what you are going to include in each section of your newspaper report. Okay, you can use the planning template that I showed you earlier to answer the 5 W's and the H for 1 chili. For 2 chili, try to add in extra detail to your notes as well, some more information. 3 chili, try to add examples of reported and direct speech in the who section of your planning. So what would people who have been interviewed say? And as always, please send in your planning to year6@branchprimary.books.uk. And I shall see you tomorrow for your next writing lesson. Enjoy the rest of your day, guys.